What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. Hey, listen, from the house of 1015, is that right? Room 1015. We might have a banger on our hands. I'm not sure. A woody amber. So strap up. Let's go for that ride.
Okay, I watch that head move side to side as I let the sin into the room. You are on top, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
All right. Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. Hey, check this out. From the house of room 1015, we have electric wood. We're going to break this down to the molecules, so let's go after it. 3 sprays on the test strip. Going to put this on skin. Let that part dry down. How you guys doing out there, man? It's been a while. Good to see y'all. I know nothing about this house. I wish I could tell you more other than what we're going to discover tonight, but it's a unisex fragrance. And we're going to see what it's hitting for. I think it did have a lot of votes for people who had decanted it. Whoa. This is very unique. This is like Encre Noir a la Extreme, so kind of this slightly resinous, warm, ambery wood note with, feels irisy. Yeah, it's literally what it smells like. It smells like sycamore with iris, or like Encre Noir a la Extreme with iris. Dries down more heavy on the woods, but it's still got that slight sweet, slight powdery tint. I don't really get much else. It's a warm, ambery, woody fragrance, just like it suggests. And but there's a floral element. If it's not iris, I think it's violet leaf. Let's go ahead and switch. Here we go. 3.7 out of 5? Really? This must not dry down well. Okay, they do have a write-up here. The guitar case opens with a shutter to reveal its composed clutter. The electric shock of lacquered wood and the metallic slap of tight strings. Ambroxan for the punch of wood, and an overdose of cedar for a noble touch. A sweat of overheated, mistreated wood. Oak wood for sensual thrash. Late night ash, a cloud of air injection into the past, right into the veins. Iris and nutmeg for their dust powder aspect. Okay, so iris. I will always remember the day I opened a guitar case for the first time. That was the early 90s. It was a Gibson. I was struck by its smell, like a powerful mix of wood, lacquer, metal. I think electric wood was born that day. Okay, so really he got this resinous, woody smell in the guitar case, but to beautify it as a fragrance, threw some iris in there, it looks like. Okay. Cedar, ambroxan, resins, oak, iris, and nutmeg. What I do like about this base is that what feels like a very woody opening inevitably softens way up on the dry down into a soft floral nutmeg fragrance, which I think is smart because it starts off edgy and raw and aggressively masculine, and then through the passing of resins and oak kind of is the connecting chord between a dominantly woody heavy top into what winds up drying down into a floral nutty base. And I do like that. I think if you're an iris lover, you know, Gentleman Reserve Privé, Dior Homme Parfum, Dior Homme Intense, Valentino Uomo. It dries down very Valentino Uomo with a ramp up in amberwood. But I do quite like it. I don't think it's all in. It's like a cool concept that I just hope carries in longevity. Let's look at the longevity score. Yeah, see, it's very moderate, which I don't mind, actually. You know. This is cool. You know, the reason why I think this is cool is because, and let's switch back out here. I think this is a cool concept because fragrances like Sycamore and Encre Noir a la Extreme and any just dominantly woody, slightly resinous fragrance oftentimes is not only too masculine, but it's masculine to the point where the vibe check is like, well, who just likes straight woods? You know what I'm saying? And yet it's kind of a classical, to me, approach to kind of a, I don't want to say fougere type of base, but it just has a uninteresting, been there, done that kind of feel to the woods that kind of walks away from fragrance territory and just kind of seems like you lit a candle or something, you know? But the fact that they transition it to floral nuttiness is nice because you get that masculine vibe up front and then it softens up into what seems like a slightly masculine leaning romantic fragrance. And I'm sure the woods probably last a good deal of time before that transition happens. So it might be a good hour before you're left with kind of just this Dior Homme Parfum feel that's a lot more masculine, a little less projective and loud and sweet, and kind of still has some of that woods and nuttiness cutting through all that sweet. I would say on the sweet scale, it dries down to about a 5 or a 4 out of 10, which to me is like sweet spot. The opening is absolutely beautiful, stunning. Woody, amber, iris, resin. Really good. I like this scent, man, because I mean, I have Sycamore, I have Encre Noir a la Extreme, and though I do like them for big masculine energy, I wish they would have had a floral note in it. Some violet leaf, some iris, some lavender, just something to soften it up and to give it a little more personality. That's the other thing I don't like with dominantly woody fragrances is sometimes they just lack enough depth of personality. They don't have any flair to them. It's just all classicness. And I even think that this somewhat resembles Bentley Absolute. Let's go back to the screen here. Let me see what's in Bentley Absolute, because it definitely feels closer now that I'm talking out loud to Bentley Absolute. Let's see what's in that fragrance. Woody amber, so I'm not wrong. But they use pepper. But there's that amber and cedar. This has I don't know how they're achieving it here. Maybe the sweetness from amber is olibanum sweet. It's balsamic with a fruity top note. Okay, so that's how Absolute comes off with the 4 out of 5 sweet, is that amber and olibanum mix. It's very, very close to Bentley Absolute, and for that, I almost feel like, you know, as good as this feels, I think Bentley Absolute gets you like 90% in the door with this type of DNA. And now that I'm thinking about it, Bentley Absolute definitely feels like a hybrid middle point between a fragrance is, see, to me, Encre Noir a la Extreme is a clone of Sycamore, but I actually prefer it over Sycamore because it has amber and resins. Whereas with Sycamore, it may have those elements, but it just feels like a very vetiver heavy woody fragrance, which I believe it is. It even has like some green spicy element to it. But with a la Extreme, it warms the woods up and adds a resinous feel. So at least the wood has an actual character, you know, almost like a cherry wood or something. Or like a bourbon, not bourbon, but that's why I like a la Extreme over Sycamore, even though Sycamore has a little bit more elegance and class to the perfumery. But I still don't like both as like quick grabs for masculinity because they lack more personality. They still seem linear. So the middle point to that to me is Bentley Absolute, which still captures a kind of smoky, incensey, ambery, resinous wood, but it's fresh and airy and it has a little bit of sweetness, not from florals, as we can see. It's mainly from resins and balsams, but it still pushes some sweetness through to give it a little bit more character and personality, which is why I fell in love with Bentley Absolute in the first place. And though this floral touch is actually what I more would like in a fragrance like that, I can't really justify it because it is so freaking close to Bentley Absolute. And that's a $20, $25 fragrance versus, let's see what Joma is selling it for. Well, let's see what it retails for. I know Wave Child is super popular from this house. So you can get electric wood in a 100 ml for $155, and that's on a decent discount. It retails closer to 180. So half size, you're going at 100. Yeah, I mean, would you, if you were looking at Bentley Absolute and you knew that you were just going to pay an extra 80 to $100 for essentially a splash of iris, would you pivot? Probably not. But it is a good fragrance, and if you don't have Sycamore or A La Extreme or Bentley Absolute and you just want to go after this, I wouldn't be mad at it. It's got moderate projection and performance. This has a nice sillage because iris will tend to sillage better than just a straight woody fragrance. And I like it. I would say I give it an 8. If I could decimal it, I'd give it an 8.5, but we don't do decimals on this channel. So I'm not even going to round up here because calling this a 9 would be a bit of a stretch. I don't think there's enough going on to this and enough uniqueness for me to throw it up there. I'm pretty picky about my 9s because they're almost 10s. Like, they're almost perfection. And this is nowhere near almost perfection, but it's a good deal above average. You know, you're going to feel a little bit unique with this scent. It's going to have some good utility because it's both an upscale masculine / semi-formal / work type of fragrance, and it's softened up by florals so it can go date night, woods and iris type of combo. It'll kind of feel with the same vibe check as like Gentleman Reserve Privé or something, another iris fragrance that has more of a woody whiskey base. It has some nuts to it. But yeah, I give this a strong pronounce 8 out of 10. It wears moderate, you know, it's not super heavy. It's not the softest thing ever. I like it. I really do like it. I would, if I didn't have all 3 of those fragrances, I would definitely carry something like this. I just don't know if I would justify the price point because there's other stuff out there. And mind you, a lot of times when I'm talking to you guys about alternatives, I'm giving you clones, because I'm trying to go to a price point you guys can at least get into this that are good fragrances. But in this case, to me, the Bentley line is basically like a clone house, because not because they're cloning any fragrances, but because they're clone priced. A lot of their bottles are, I mean, probably like 90% of the house is cheaper than almost every clone these days. Now clones are going up to the $40, $50, $60 price point on average. And we're starting to see less clones that are around that 20-25 sweet spot that we used to see back in the heyday of Armaf, Lattafa, and Maison Alhambra and stuff like that. But anyways, again, strong 8. Leans fall, winter, colder climate, but you could make a case for any season, any reason. In the warmer weather, you would just want to wear this later in the day or 75 degrees and down. It's upscale casual to formal, I think. More semi-formal, but I think you could make a case for formal. It says unisex. Women, I think it's too masculinely woody. I think Sycamore from Chanel is even unisex, and I just never understood that. I never understood a woman who wants to smell like pure woody vetiver. But maybe there's some ladies out there that I've never seen a woman with Sycamore. I've seen plenty of women who smelled Sycamore and liked the smell, but not that wear it. So yeah, I think it is heavily masculine. Sprays on this, because of the moderate projection, I'm going at least 6 to 10 for me. Yeah, we went over alternatives and all that good stuff. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. I drop episodes every single day, multiple times a day. So if you're into fragrance content, this is where you want to be. Again, this was Room 1015, Electric Wood Eau de Parfum. and it's a strong 8. I wouldn't be mad at you if you bought it. I just think there's a lot of alternatives available, and when you start spending more than $100 on a fragrance, it should be blowing your mind, and it should be, you know, something you're proud to wear often, I think. But that's just my opinion. Who knows where everyone's financials are? I'm just trying to go through a headspace of every level of consumer. And I think even for people who can afford something like this, it wouldn't be an all-star fragrance in your collection. So tread carefully. Put your nose on it, though. It's definitely a great smelling fragrance. They did a great job with the balance. That's what I appreciate. Even though I can make out the individual notes, there's very, very much a uniformity to this blend. It's soft, it's smooth, but it's got that nice woody base. Okay, guys, this is the Scent Bubble. Hope y'all have a blessed week, and until next time, peace.